What is it going to take to kill this lie once and for all? The lie that somehow white people are the ones responsible for all these mass shootings that go on around the country. I mean, I thought the New York Times story from a little while ago I thought that would have killed it, with the New York Times, much to the chagrin of their own reporters. They went and figured out that despite what you read in Salon and Newsweek and Daily Beast, they figured out that 75% of mass shooters are black. Doesn't really matter. I think this is from Vice. Why are so many mass shootings committed by young white men? You can find hundreds and hundreds of these articles, each one without one whit of one care that they've got the story 100% wrong. I mean, if you go to Twitter right now, put in a white mass shooter. You're going to get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stories like this. Again, this is on there right now. Every goddamn mass shooter over the past 10 years have been angry white Republican men, and the last 3 years have been alt-right, white nationalists, Nazi white supremacist Trump cult disciples who claim Christianity and patriotism, but endorse an agenda of hate, fear, and ignorance. Here's another one. Except the vast majority of perps of mass shooters are law-abiding white men. Your good men are shooters. I mean, this just goes on and on and on. Here's a guy that comes to our Twitter page a lot, just like the white mass shooters, right? I mean, that's like everybody's trump card. We're sitting there going, yeah, what about, we're seeing a lot of little old ladies getting bonked on the head, and this genius will come back and go, yeah, what about the white mass shooters? Then he continues to educate it by reminding us that not only are white people going around the country shooting people in massive quantities, but white people are just as criminal as black people. They may even be more criminal. They just get protected by the media and treated with kid gloves when it comes to law enforcement. And on it goes. Here's this genius. She wants to gather outside the Senate with buckets of pig blood and throw it on members of the Senate as they go home every time there's a mass shooting. That's a lot of pig blood. That's a lot of pig blood, because, we just did this we just did this May 18th. Today's a week later. And it's about the 5th or 6th time we've done it this year, if not more. Like every once a month, twice a month, we just go collect the mass shootings. And I was surprised as anybody when we started doing this with regularity. I looked around and said, hey, this is happening every day. Then we saw an article in the Philadelphia Daily News that said, yeah, it happens in Philly once every 11 days. That's just Philly by itself. Once every 11 days, there's a mass shooting in Philadelphia. Yeah, that's a black thing there. That's a black thing around the rest of the country, too. And on it goes. Where it stopped, nobody knows. Why don't we just start in Philadelphia? Something that happened in the Philly region last night across the river from Philly, Trenton, New Jersey. Trenton makes, the world takes. A lot of viewers on this channel are either live in Trenton or used to live in Trenton. This is no surprise to them.
Big story in Action News is more than 30 shots fired outside of a bar in Trenton early this morning, injuring 10 people. Authorities are still trying to determine who pulled the trigger and why. Action News reporter Bob Brooks live outside Trenton Police Headquarters with details. Bob.
Yeah, Walter, we just wrapped up a news conference with city leaders here, and they did tell us that despite 30 rounds being fired at the scene of this shooting and 10 people being wounded, luckily no one was killed. Now, they also wanted to take this time and talk about the fact that this kind of crime does not define the city of Trenton, despite the fact this is, in fact, the second mass shooting that has happened here in less than a year. And I'm going to talk more about that in just a second. But first, I want to bring up the video from overnight here. Again, this happened around 10:30 last night in the 300 block of Brunswick Avenue. Police say they believe 2 suspects in a car pulled up outside of a bar and opened fire. Then they say those 2 suspects shot 30 rounds into a crowd. Again, 10 people were shot, ages ranging between 21 and 36 years old. The victims are 5 men and 5 women. Again, luckily, no one was killed. However, 2 men are now in critical condition. Police did tell us that 2 women have been released from the hospital. Now, at this point, police say they don't have a motive yet, but they do believe they're closing in on the suspect vehicle.
What we do know is out of the 10 victims that we had, 8 of them were Trenton residents. I believe 1 was from Ewan and another one from Willingboro. Just out for a night of fun, and then it turned into a night of violence. These are the things that we're not going to continue to tolerate in Trenton.
Did you hear that chief of police in Trenton just accidentally tell us the truth? What did she say? The last thing she said, we are not going to continue to tolerate this anymore in Trenton. Continue to tolerate it. So here over the last couple of years, this is what we document every single day in all of my books, my videos, my podcasts. Hope you're checking out our podcasts, by the way. And we've been saying, listen, there's a ton of black violence out there of all kinds against all people. And we just get a lot of pushback from people that go, A, it's not happening, B, white people do it too, or C, white people deserve it. And now we get this chief of police from Trenton spilling the beans, which is, hey, Colin, yeah, it's been happening for a long time, and we really kind of just let it slide for a long time, but now that's always my favorite quote. It's like, not on my watch, parentheses, until the next time it happens on my watch. Okay, why don't we just start a little magical mystery tour around the country? We'll just do just kind of bullet fashion. You can track these headlines down if you like. 2 killed, 1 injured in shooting on Detroit's east side. Okay, Detroit's not fair. I mean, that's a shooting city. How about Indianapolis? Hell, even I know the canal in downtown Indianapolis is a site of regular black mob violence and black shooting. There have been a couple there's shootings down there, there's muggings, there's all sorts of crazy stuff down there. How about we go to Brighton Park, 3 wounded, including a 17-year-old girl. That might be in Mississippi, I'm not sure. No, I'm not going to look it up right now. Suspect named in Alexandria shooting that killed 1, wounded 4. I know where that is. That's Louisiana. That's in the middle of Louisiana. Here we go. Here's 1 dead, 3 injured in Tulsa shooting. Suspect in custody. 1 dead, 2 injured in Algiers highway shootout Tuesday afternoon, says NOPD. That's New Orleans. That's dated May the 21st. Look at the dates on all these articles. They just happened. Here's one from my old neck of the woods, good old San Diego, California. 3 people shot in the Mount Hope neighborhood of San Diego. Anybody who lives in San Diego knows that's where the fellas live. Just got this. Somebody just sent me these books. I mean, a picture of their recent additions to their book collection. Good job. I think that's one of our viewers named Sam. Why don't we go out to Port Gibson? 1 man dead, 2 injured after graduation party in Port Gibson. Anybody keeping track of the mass shootings at graduation parties this year? I'm counting 3 so far. That doesn't count all the other argy-bargy happening at graduation parties. Yeah, Port Gibson's in Mississippi. How about a quadruple shooting in this town, which it says 16th and Memorial? Where the hell is that? That's Tulsa, I think. And then we go over to Chicago. Yawn, 3 wounded and a Chicago drive-by. Well, we started out with a club shooting in Philadelphia. I mean, near Philly in Trenton. Why don't we head down to Atlanta, where one of the fellows was objecting to the rather steep cover charge designed, no doubt, to keep out patrons just like him. Guess it didn't work.
A killer is on the run this noon. Detectives say a man shot and killed an employee inside a popular Northeast Atlanta lounge. Channel 2's Lauren Posen live right now outside the business just off Piedmont Road. And Lauren, in the past hour, police told you what led up to the shooting.
Sophia, police told me that an argument over the price of admission here led up to that gunfire. I spoke with a witness who told me he saw the victim on the ground.
After that initial chaos, it was just like, got to get out of there.
Reginald State Jr. told Channel 2 Action News he did not expect his Saturday morning to take the turn that it did. Police say just after 2:30, someone shot an employee at Atlantis Restaurant and Lounge in the head. He died.
I can only say that I was one of the few people who exited through the front, and I saw the security guard's body laying there.
2 other people were shot, both in the leg. They are expected to be okay. Investigators say the shooter got into a fight with the employee over the price of admission. That's when the situation escalated into gunfire.
We don't know how many times the gun was fired. At this point, it looks like each victim was shot 1 time.
Investigators canvassed the scene, looking for clues and interviewing witnesses. We also saw them put evidence markers and collected shell casings in brown bags.
All right, let's just blow through a few more of these videos.
Tulsa police say they think that right before the murders happened, they believe that Christopher President was actually at the hospital where his newborn child had just been born. Now, 2 years later, he's in jail accused of murder. This all dates back to 2017 and the triple murder of Thomas Brown, his mother Kara Brown, and her boyfriend Kenneth Sellers. Police say they were all 3 shot and killed inside of a home. Detectives arrested Melvin Porter 2 days after the murders. Police say cell phone evidence helped them connect Christopher President to the murders as well, and they caught him yesterday. Police say both the President and Porter were trying to sell drugs to the victims when those murders happened.
Just after 10:30 Friday night.
I've never experienced anything like this.
He made it out okay, but his neighbors were not as fortunate. 4 people were shot in the complex, including a 4-year-old boy and 2 adult men. A 27-year-old woman died in the hospital.
I didn't believe it at first, It didn't even sit in until I got here.
This friend of the victim came to the apartment complex to see the investigation for himself. He did not want to be identified, but says he's heartbroken over this loss.
She was a cool person. She had a big heart.
He says the victim was a mother of 2 and that she did not live in this apartment complex, but her family did. Investigators say the 4 people shot were all related.
I think that it's really important to stress the fact that the detectives do believe that this was a targeted shooting.
Here's what we know so far. 4 people were involved in an incident around 7:20, and according to Columbus City Police, on scene, 2 people were shot and transported to area hospitals. Another was pistol whipped. A burgundy car was left behind. It looked like it crashed into a nearby pole, but investigators say one of the people who suffered a gunshot was found in that car. They are still trying to figure out who the victims are in this case and who are the suspects. Now, police were first notified of this scene through technology called ShotSpotter.
Well, the shooting was this afternoon at the Red Fox Apartments. A man with a gun came here and shot 4 people. Tulsa police responding this afternoon to the scene where 1 man died, another very critically injured, but police say those 2 others will survive. Witnesses describe the sound of maybe a dozen shots fired. Video from the witnesses show victims down with people trying to help them. Now, police have not publicly identified the victim. They know who that man is. They took several people downtown for questioning and say that now that they're asking a lot of questions down there, they believe they have the probable suspect in custody down there questioning him.
You know, the last time we compiled all these videos and clips of mass shootings, from the time I stopped doing the audio until the time I finished editing the audio, I got 5 more episodes of mass shootings from the fellas. I think we even had 1 white person involved in a mass shooting during that last video, which was like 2 weeks, ending about a week ago. Well, this is a week later. How many? Did anybody count them? There's got to be at least 10 in there. 10, 11, 12. I'll count them. That's just in the last week. But the lie will not die. The fellas just insist that white people are going around the country shooting people, mass shootings, and for some reason we're just not hearing about it. Yeah, that's what it is.
Please, sir. I want some more.
I mean, we get so many of the fellas, lovely ladies, and their enablers and their allies. They come to our Twitter, they come to my podcast, they come to my books, they come to my all over the place. Everybody wants to be the person that takes down Big Bad Colin. God, wouldn't it be so easy to do? Wouldn't it be so easy to do just to take this video and say, okay, Colin, we'll take your 1 video and we'll show you why you are 100% wrong because you said this mass shooting is a black thing. Well, Colin, what about all these mass shootings by white people that you ignored in the last week or 2 or 3 or month or 6 months? What about them, Colin? It turns out that white people are doing it more often than black people. That's all you'd have to do. Pretty simple. I wonder why nobody's done it. I guarantee if you did it, it's not going to make the black kids angry.